Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the More Magic Book Club podcast. Today, we are talking about The Incandescent by Emily Tesh, which, if you're on video, you could see the cover. I love the cover of this book. I think it's really pretty. And I'm joined by Marianne again, since you were briefly gone last month. You are back this month.
Howdy.
Thank you for joining and for reading this one with me. Yeah, so should we just start with the magic?
Yeah, let's get into this book. Demi, what did you think of it overall?
I liked it. I feel like it was a lot faster in the second half. So I really I got into it in the end. Well, when we talk about the characters, we could talk about this. But I like really liked Mark as a character, and I was hoping for like a twist with him where you think he's the bad guy and then he's like actually a good guy, which did not happen. So so I'm
Yeah.
still like maybe in the next book, like there'll be a sequel and we get that because I was like really hoping for that. But
Yeah.
I did like hearing the students and like thinking about their careers, and like, what that looked like. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought overall this was a fun read. This was my first ever dark academia that wasn't just tragic to its core. Like, I
Hmm.
have never read fun dark academia before, and I actually would like to see more of this. I thought it was interesting. So like, for example, like dark academia to me, there's a book that I read that is horrible but so good, but horrible. You might have heard of it. It's called The Secret History by Donna Tartt.
I have heard of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't read it. Yeah.
It is like truly dark academia, and she takes the term dark literally. That book, like it was painful to read, but when I read the whole thing, I still think about it to this day. Like that's what
Oh,
I
wow.
mean when I talk about horrible but so good. Tough to read. It makes you think about things you might not want to think about, like the darker parts of humanity and stuff. But it also has the aesthetic vibe of dark academia that I think people really vibe with, that I know I vibe with, which is like the New England, or in this case, the Old England,
Yeah.
like tweed and what are those things that they put on their
Oh,
like
like the elbow patches?
yeah, on their tweed coats and like gloomy weather and old buildings from the Gothic era or the Victorian era. Like I love that vibe, and I thought I couldn't have that when unless I'm also like in the dark side of the things. And it's so funny that a book about the demonic world who actually was like a fun read, but still had the vibe. And I was like, yeah, I could read a couple more of these. They're fun, they're enjoyable. Like I could read it next time I go to England. Like I'd want a book like this while I'm traveling to Oxford or something.
Yeah, that's true. What you said about the a book about demons, and it's surprisingly not. Like I was expecting it to get pretty dark. So that's what I was prepared for. So I think when I first started reading this, like the voice, like, because it's, from a professor, it's like very academic. And I was like, I don't know. I think I was almost expecting almost like a bounty hunter kind of vibes. I don't know why
Mm.
that's what I went into with this like notion of like that they're going to be battling demons that way, but they're actually summoning them to like control them and ask questions, which I thought was so interesting.
Which we learn later is a little dangerous. You
Yeah.
know, dance with the devil, you're gonna get burned, kind of thing. But I also like going into the magic world system, like the demon world, almost reminds me. This is kind of a weird parallel, but it kind of reminded me of One Punch Man, which is a satirical, silly anime about this
Mm.
world of monsters, and it's like a um survival of the fittest, but like to the nth degree, where there's no
Mm.
compassion. Like you here in our planet, we have survival of the fittest, right? But there's like, not really. Like there's like compassion and altruism has been shown in different species, not just humans, and like, like there's some goodness to the world. Whereas this is like all bets are off kind of planet where basically it's almost like they're monsters. We just like call them demons, but they're just monsters. Like there's no like religious aspect or anything. It's just like this world that sits under or within like in a different dimension on top of our world, and they just eat each other and they get bigger and bigger from eating each other, which is the plot of One Punch Man. I should
Oh,
say,
really?
which is, like I said, a silly anime about this superhero who did 100 push-ups every day and 100 sit-ups every day, and it made him so strong that he could kill a demon with one punch or kill a monster with one punch. And so it's like a silly anime. But that, so like I've seen this trope around of like this type of world, and I thought it was interesting to move it from like, superheroes or like, the regular world into where we see it in the Incandescent, which is academia, like at a boarding school.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm curious how you perceive this because when I was reading it, so it seemed like when they do the is it invocation? Don't remember if that which one it was, but the one where you summon the demons, like it seemed like it was only academic, like for academic purposes, or if you worked for the government. And beyond that, like people didn't really do the summoning. Is that how you interpreted it?
Yeah, it's like highly regulated. I guess you could say in today's, like in our world, it'd be like bombs. Technically, anyone can make a bomb,
Oh, okay.
but really the only people who have the like social contract allowance to do so is the government and like education. And even education, they
Oh,
have to
yeah.
do it in like, a pyrotechnic school or something like that. So that's kind of how I got the sense because they're like, oh, you can't believe what kind of magic kids will do from the internet. So that kind of reminds me of like the kids who make homemade smoke bombs and stuff from the internet. It is interesting because like by the time we get to the story in the Incandescent, the time period in the Incandescent, the humans had progressed so much that they were not necessarily afraid of the demon world, but it was more like something that they did use as a weapon. And there's
Hmm.
actually a couple of allusions to that. Like they talk about how World War II, the Blitz was actually Hitler figuring out how to use the demon world for World War II. Like so they had like that is the trajectory that they've been on.
I feel like I completely missed the World War II part.
I
Yeah. There were like so many details in my brain was like, just like, I can't handle all of these details, focus on the characters. Like,
I noticed it because I
but
just thought it was interesting. Also, did you notice that Isaac Newton was a great wizard?
yeah, I missed that too. I just missed all of the
Like the history.
the historical stuff, except
Yeah.
for like her relationship to Charlie, her boyfriend, who was consumed by Old Faithful, which I
Yeah.
really liked that name for the demon.
Yeah.
I thought that was so fun. I wanted to ask you, so we kind of just talked about this a little bit, but it seems like in this world, everyone can learn magic. Like you can choose to go to a boarding school to learn it, or you can choose to continue on to go to university to learn it. It didn't seem like it was like it was relegated only to a certain group of people. Did you read it that way as well?
Hmm. I mean, I did see, like, I guess from my perspective, I know that there are people who have like a more of an innate talent for it, which
Hmm.
makes sense to me. Like, I feel like so, and I do think that maybe it's like a subject that anyone can learn. Like, so for example, Anita, one of the characters in the book, she actually isn't naturally gifted at magic, but
Hmm.
she took that magic course just because she's like, one of those girls who is on, who's just gonna be super successful in life and she wants to be good at everything. So she purposely took the hardest class. Even though she's not naturally gifted at magic. And so it's almost as if it's a science, but it actually isn't, which is brought up later, towards the end of the book. And I thought that was actually a really interesting point. Humans treat the demon world as if, and like the controlling of the demon world as a science, but it's actually not a science. And I thought that was interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, I read it as kind of an art, like kind of like almost like studying art history or something. Like they're the stuff that they're doing, that they're learning, that she's teaching, I guess, is not something that most people are going to be doing, but it's very theoretical, but also very creative too. Because there's the drawing of the they call them arrays, I think,
Yeah.
where yeah, that you use for the summoning and um yeah, it seemed very creative and very just theoretical. But then I wanted to learn more about the other areas because there were the other areas of magic that were more kind of like spell casting, it seemed like, where it was more practical. So I think if there's more books in this world, I hope that they explore that a little bit more because I was very curious about that.
Yeah, like the scene of her levitating Will. I was like, oh, so you could do
Yeah.
magic. Like, you're not just like, bringing demons into the world. You could do literally magic, and this is what you spent your time on. Like, I would have levitated all over the place. Like, you know. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It seemed like it used her energy, right? Because she was tired after. Like it seemed like there was a limited amount of energy to actually do the magic.
Like in World of Warcraft, you have mana, which is like if you're a magician, like a mage or something, and you want to do magic, mana is like your energy reserves. Um,
Hmm.
so not to get too nerdy, but it made sense to me when I was reading that. I'm like, oh yeah, her mana's down. That makes sense.
I read it as like, because I don't know if it's a writing rule or in a lot of books, but magic always has consequences. So that to me was like, oh, this is the consequence of using
Oh, that
magic
makes
and you get
sense.
tired.
Yeah.
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 I thought that the demons were they were kind of funny. Like it starts out with the one in like the copier.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you must feed me. And then does she give it staples, I think, or something? It was something really like random like that. And
Something
yeah.
silly. Should we get into the characters?
Yeah. What do you think about should we just call her Walden? I feel like that's how she was described in most of the
Yes.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Safi.
Yeah.
But Walden is how they referred to her.
Yeah.
I thought Walden was me. Like
You're like,
I
wait, did I write this?
Yeah, I like really saw myself in her in an embarrassing kind of way, which is like, I'm an adult. I am not a child. And I am so in control. Like I will never be a child again. And then so it's actually kind of is scary for me when Walden lost everything and literally got possessed because like that inner monologue that she has, I have, which is like, I'm not a kid anymore. I am like, you don't talk to me that way. I know how, like, I am confident. Like, there's nothing you can do in this world to shake me. Like, nothing will shake me. I could survive anything like that. And so, I liked her as a character. She is such a cautionary tale for people who are controlling, such as myself. Like, for people who, like, have a sense of duty yeah, dude, she is me. Like she has a sense of duty just like me. She has like a sense of like impact, the desire to make impact, and like she really takes her job seriously. Like she understands the responsibility that she has taking care of children and stewarding them. And
Hmm.
like in a lot of ways it's very good. The downside is that it's actually really interesting because you and I keep talking about power. Like we always see themes of power, and a lot of times people want power and they go after power, and we see the obvious consequence of that, and they're usually bad people. Walden was not actually a power hungry seeker. In fact, she actually turned it away. Like the US military gave her a job and she was like, no thanks. Like I have my morals and my values. Like I'm gonna go be a teacher, which is like a very low power job according to our society. But she actually did pursue power, but not for power's sake, but for knowledge's sake. And knowledge is a source of power. And if power can be evil, maybe then knowledge could be evil, which is kind of weird for me to say this out loud. I'm not, these are fresh first draft thoughts because I knowledge
Of a
like
fictional world.
yeah, of a fictional world, but like it's kind okay, you know what it's akin to? It's like creating the atom bomb. Like the
Yeah.
guy like Oppenheimer. He is a
Or
parallel.
AI.
Or AI, like these, like where we do it because we can, but does that mean that we should? Also, Jurassic Park as another good example.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
right?
God. That's like the Jurassic Park is a perfect parallel because I mean, they're dinosaurs, not demons, but they're like, we can contain them. Nothing
Yeah,
bad will happen.
yes, and Jeff Goldblum literally says you guys were so like obsessed with wondering whether or not that if you could do this, that you never stopped to ask yourself if you should do this. So that's like
Uh,
literally
you
Walden's
mean Jeff
fatal flaw.
Goldblum as the character? I thought you meant as the person after.
No, no, I don't even remember his character's name, but we all know
I
who
don't
I'm
either.
talking
We
about.
know, yeah, we know. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, so it's interesting because I was curious yeah, I'm just so curious your thoughts on everything in this book. But in the end, there was one line, I wish I saved it, but she made like a or had a thought of like I chose this or I think I chose this, and I was like, oh, did the Phoenix manipulate her into creating the tattoo. So like she thought she was like doing what you were saying, like seeking power for knowledge's sake, but really she was already possessed by this demon, just like at a lower level.
Yeah, I remember that scene and I was wondering that too. I found it confusing. Like I was like, is it? Like, and I think it was meant to be confusing. Like,
Yeah.
but I think there's a lesson there that I want to say for the theme. Which is a
Yeah.
lesson I
I
do
had some
wholeheartedly believe in.
Yeah, I have a few lessons from that. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. Okay, what did you think about, well, I saw your note later about Laura Kenning that you didn't like her, but then you did like her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first let me ask you, what did you think of Walden?
Oh yeah, I'm just so curious to hear your thoughts on everything. I thought it was really interesting because I'm so far removed from academia. Like I mean, I got my master's, but it was like 10 years ago when I was a student, and I guess it's like it's even high school, which like since it's like English, like British, like I'm like I don't know all these terms. I mean, I thought they were in college, and then they were like 17 years old. I was like, oh, okay, I don't know what this means. Um, but yeah, so it was interesting just to think about everything that goes into being a teacher and yeah, the way that she was thinking about that. I think the author is a professor in addition to writing. Um, so that felt like a like insight into someone who's living and breathing this daily life because I really like the speech she gives, which I'll talk about later, but the speech she gives, I guess it was more of a conversation than a speech, but with Nikki when she was like I don't want to go to Oxford. And then they have this whole discussion. I thought that was a really beautiful moment. And this book, like her passion, Walden's passion for the students, also for the magic. And she kind of didn't believe in herself, like on a human level. Like there was like several lines where she's like, I'm good at like, my specialization and like my research area, but I'm not good at like pastoral. Like I'm not good at like connecting with the students. So I loved seeing her essentially learn that that's not true. Like she is good at that just by being herself and being authentic. So yeah, I think it was because in the beginning I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into this because it was so academic and like almost felt like a research paper, like we were talking about earlier. But then by the end, I was like, okay, we get to like see her as like the human, and she sees herself that way. So I really liked that arc. I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, her like humanization of herself.
Yeah,
I actually totally, by the way, I like while I was reading this, I was like, I bet she's a teacher in real life, and this book almost reads like a love letter to the field of teaching.
yeah.
It really shone through, and I give her props to that. And it's funny because for me, I actually really liked the academic perspective because my husband and I are a bit academic. Like we're, nerds in that way. Like we read like we've never really left college, I guess you could say. Like we
Yeah.
like academic things. We have academic discussions, and so I really enjoyed the academic aspect because it's like academia, but make it magic. I would
Hmm.
almost like read like a thesis about this just for fun, because I thought it was so interesting the way she did that, the way she like we've it's almost like this world is very low fantasy in that it's our world, like what our world would look like today if we just also happened to have access to the demonic plane and they were like these non-thinking animals that all ate each other and we could potentially use them. Like of course there would be a field of academia studying that dimension, obviously. So I
Yeah.
thought that was just really interesting for me. But yeah, it's not, I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea because it a lot of times skewed heavily academic.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think that it was less philosophical academia, which I'm into. Like I would like that. And this was more yeah, like the like dark academia in like the daily life
Yeah,
of academia, which is like I don't want to go back to school. So I'm like having PTSD and like having papers. I still have nightmares that a test that I forgot, like that I was enrolled in the classic, like that's like a classic nightmare.
same.
So it was a little like, oh God, reading it, I'm like, wait a second. But yeah, it was cool to get that perspective, having not been on the professor side of things. Um, Yeah. But then, yeah, so then Laura Kenning was the marshal, which I mean, it also makes sense. Like you have to, if you have, if you're summoning demons, you have to have a way to protect against that. So I liked her character like from the beginning. Because I think their first scene together, there was that sort of tension, and I liked her. And from like the love story perspective, I was on their team from the beginning. But then when she left and Mark came in, I was like, he's like, I'm not a good guy. And I was like, I feel like this is so obvious. He has to be a good guy. Like it just like I was expecting that like flip, you know? And yeah, so I was like a little sad when that didn't happen because I was just like waiting for it, you know. But then
Yeah.
I was glad that her and Laura ended up together. So yeah.
Yeah. It was like the perfect case of gaslighting yourself because I kind of went through the same thing where I'm like, I think this guy is a villain, but he's so obviously a villain that maybe he's not a villain, but he what and he kind of isn't. Depending on who you're like from whose perspective, to me he's a villain. But to
Yeah.
him, he's an ends justifies the means kind of guy, and he's like working for the military or whatever. So for him, it's
Hmm.
fine to put children at risk and stuff because they're testing this potential weapon that Walden may have like stumbled upon. So like to me, he's
Hmm.
a villain because like I try not to be an ends justify the means kind of person. But yeah, so but we all gaslighted ourselves or gaslit. We all gaslit ourselves. Gaslighted or gaslit?
I think Gaslit.
Okay,
Yeah.
gaslit it is. Ourselves into thinking like because he was kind of he's charming. Like I liked him.
Yeah.
Like he's
Hmm.
actually on the surface more charming than Laura. Laura is like a very much a police officer, like very or a military woman, like very what's the word? Like no tact just kind of
Yeah.
like take it or leave it. Whereas he knows how to play the game, and so like he's more likable on the surface than Laura, but Laura's character is really good and really strong, and so that makes you
Hmm.
like her in the end. And I think that's a valuable lesson for all of us, is your character shines through eventually, but like your charm will be the winner of the first few interactions.
Yeah. Well, I did really like him. And just thinking about that, because the reason I really liked him is that he helped Walden to just have fun. Like it seemed like she hadn't allowed herself to just enjoy it. Like everything was work. And so I loved that he came in and was doing the opposite and was just like, "Hey, like let's have fun. Let's like have sex. Let's like talk and like joke and be jokey." And Laura was like very serious. And I was like, "Ooh, I feel like she like I liked her." But then when he came in, I was like, "I don't know. I think she kind of needs that. I think she needs to like have someone be like, you're making this your whole life and it's not healthy." Um, which is what ended up happening eventually anyway, because she, lost all of it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah, I thought that was like a really interesting they were just two interesting love interests. Um, because they were so different. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just still like, I think that maybe he wasn't bad, which yeah, is probably not good. I
I
feel
mean,
that way.
they make his fate unclear. Too. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck happened to him? Like, what? Do you know what happened to him? It sounds like he was like being
It said that he
used.
survived,
Yeah,
right?
but in what state? Like, is he gonna make a full recovery or is he gonna be like mentally, unstable or
Mhm.
something? Because it sounds like the
Yeah.
Phoenix kept him in like a state of decaying homeostasis for 6 months, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was unclear. They didn't say. So yeah, I mean, I just put on rose-colored glasses and was like, he recovered because he works for
Yeah.
like some powerful organization that knew how to fix him.
Yeah, let's just say that. Let's just say that. For poor Walden's like guilty conscience. Let's just say that. Speaking of guilty conscience, what did you think of Nikki?
I really liked her. I almost like part of me almost wishes that it was her story because I thought she was very interesting. And at the end when she was like, I don't want to go to Oxford, and then you realize it's because she didn't want to feel like an outsider. Yeah, it was so I don't want to say heartbreaking, but in a way it was heartbreaking because it's like, no, you can go, you deserve this too, you don't have to give it up. And yeah, the story with her family and it was just like, yeah, it was a very intense character, like thinking about the life she's lived.
Yeah. And then, but then she ended up kind of saving the day, which I thought was really nice.
Hmm.
So it was a tri like we're kind of seeing her story in the background, but her story is one of triumph because
Yeah.
she made two big mistakes that really weighed heavily on her. And I think it's really interesting, like she's kind of a foil to Walden in that sense because Walden just kind of like, and Walden describes it. She's like, I still went to college. I still felt like I deserved a good life even though I made my mistakes. Whereas Dickie was like, oh, I don't deserve it because I almost killed everyone. And like,
Hmm.
like having Nikki see Walden still, still go to college and still make something of her life, even though that Walden made the same mistake that Nikki almost made, I thought was a really poignant scene. Um, but then also like she ends up being the one like she uses her intelligence for good finally. Like it's not her fault. Teenagers do stuff, like teenagers
Hmm.
make big fat mistakes. It's just usually something like they steal the car for a joyride, not they summon a demon that almost kills everyone. Like, but
Yeah.
so for her to like grow up from that and then be like, we made a mistake, let's go, not let's take care of this ourselves, which would have showed no character growth. It's let's go to an adult that we can trust, since all the other
Yeah.
adults are like mind brainwashed or whatever. And so I thought that was a really triumphant story for her.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. It when she summoned the demon in the beginning, the way you mentioned it just now, it makes me think of the movie The Craft. Did you ever watch that?
No, but I can imagine just based off
It's
the title.
it's kind of scary. It's like from the 90s, like they're high schoolers and they're witches and like do all this stuff and then bad things happen. And yeah, that's like what it makes me think about. Like if you give teens power, they're
Yeah,
gonna test it. Like they're gonna
yeah.
test the limits and like that means that, bad things could end up happening. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Like the thought of, because again, when I first started, I don't think I realized they were like in high school until like halfway through the book.
That's so funny. That
I
is so
thought it
funny.
was like college. And then I was like, wait a second, we're letting like high schoolers do this? This is crazy. So yeah.
Speaking of Americans, did you see the insult that they made towards us?
Oh my God.
But it was
There
very
were multiple
warranted.
insults.
Yeah. And they
The
were
one
all
about
warranted. Student loans.
education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not America. You could pay off your student loans here. I was like, ouch.
Yeah. I know. See, that's what I'm saying. This book was a little too triggering in some ways.
Like, like,
Thinking about that. And then there was a comment where she was like her talking about her ex, like her like bright and clear and somehow too loud American voice. And I was like, excuse me.
yeah, that was also an ouch. Because
Yeah.
that one doesn't hurt as much as the student loans. Because I don't mind being
Yeah.
loud. I mind our student loan crisis. So
Yeah.
nope. Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think
Back to
about the
me.
Phoenix?
Yes. Okay. The Phoenix was fascinating to me.
Yes. Yeah.
I almost feel like they're not evil, or
Yeah.
they're like evil on accident, but they're not evil anymore.
Well, so I think I added a comment on this on Storygraph in the beginning because when they have the incursion when Nikki summoned the demon, um, and you first meet the Phoenix, I was like, I feel because she made a comment about how they're like they don't have feelings or they can't plan or something like that. And I was like, I
Yeah.
feel like this is gonna come back. And it ended up doing it. And I was like, wait, do all demons? Like I think that I'm curious if this does become a series and if that's like the conclusion from the series of like actually all demons are sentient beings who we shouldn't be just like summoning for our own personal like purposes, which she kind of had that debate with the Reverend. I think it was in like one of the classes where she was like, well, they're not, they don't have like,
That's right. I remember.
yeah,
Ezekiel.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was I completely forgot that scene. I love how it all comes together in the end. And I think
Hmm.
like when we we're finally seeing the Phoenix's perspective, they say that like what humans have is the ultimate goal. Like all of that survival of the fittest in the demonic world is so that they can taste what it's like to be human, which is like
Hmm.
the right to have choice and the right to exist. And like the right to like be the architects of their own reality. And so the Phoenix decided to be Walden. And like the Phoenix wasn't trying to kill people. Like it had its sense of morality is very skewed because at the end of the day it's not human. It is fundamentally not even from planet Earth. Like it is from the
Hmm.
demonic plane, but it was trying to create its own world and its own sense of rules and its own laws. And I do think that like it made me wonder like can other demons be taught to like be
Yeah.
convinced to make choices that isn't hey let's just eat because old it's like the Phoenix is a foil to Old Faithful because Old Faithful was like I'm gonna eat and eat and eat and until there's nothing left to eat kind of like um like Galactica or whatever. What's that like Marvel superhero that just eats planets or like whatever. So there's a
I
bunch
don't
of
know
like
any,
villains like
yeah, I don't
that.
know any Marvel things.
No, it's like there's a bunch of like villains that just want to eat and eat and eat until they erase the whole planet.
Hmm.
Daleks from Doctor Who is a good example.
Hmm.
But the Phoenix shows a different path, which is I just want to be the master of the school. Like that's what I care about. That's my goal. Like the Phoenix isn't trying to eat kids, isn't trying to eat people. Like it's just trying to exist. It's just for there's like a inherent tension between demons and humans because in order for demons to get what they want, which is sentience and the right to like self-agency,
Hmm.
humans have to lose that right. Like so they can't actually coexist that way. It's impossible. And so that could lead to I mean, think if you think about it, that could lead to a war one day. Like if enough, not to get turn it back into being super dark, but like if enough of them gained sentience and gained like what the Phoenix got, that would turn into a war that the humans would probably lose. Well, maybe
Mm.
not. I don't know enough. But that's just conversation, just things to think about.
Oh my God, you're like humans would lose. You just got very
And
dark there.
maybe not, maybe not.
I like the Phoenix because it reminded me of different monster books, which I don't want to spoil any of them, so I won't give specifics, but I feel like this having this monster who it almost became likable by the end. Like I would say it was likable by the end. Like I appreciate like I understood the Phoenix and I had like empathy for it and like under like you were saying like understanding why it was there. And I almost wish that we had like got to see more of that in the beginning. Like I think I would have liked just going straight to like the Phoenix and like their relationship and like how she got it and I think that would have been really cool because I wanted that backstory. I was like, well, how did she even I mean, she says it was like her dissertation, but like I would have loved to see when she actually like trapped it, you know?
That would have been a good prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remind me in the end. So the Phoenix, she basically cuts off her arm, and the Phoenix, because it wants to protect the school, because it sees the school as its own,
Hmm.
this like basically becomes the new Old Faithful, but in a much more like controlled manner. Is that right?
That's what it seemed like. I think it's because it had, my understanding was that it had all of her knowledge and saw the like the value, like kind of became more human and I don't want to say believed in the purpose of the university, but like understood that like, oh, this is my realm and this is what it does, so I'm going to protect my like property kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
That's how I read it. And it was
Like
scaring off all of the other ones. Yeah.
yeah, like whereas Old Faithful was always a threat to the students, the Phoenix will protect the students,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is interesting development.
Yeah. It's like you have like a very aggressive guard dog, but it likes everyone in your like pack, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's
But
like
it has like its own set of rules that doesn't
yeah.
necessarily make sense to us, so you just gotta figure it out. But yeah. What did you think of the other characters that like we see a little bit like Will, Anita, Matthias, and the schoolkeeper?
Yeah, Matthias, I really wanted to see more of his backstory too. I thought his was really interesting. Um and I loved the students together. I thought that they were like a good group. It felt very real, like you would actually have all of these different types of backgrounds and personalities at a school like this. Um, yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I'm like, she's definitely a teacher. These are like real kids. Even when there
Yeah.
was this scene where she talks about how like boys at this age are really annoying, but you love them because they're kids. But once they become adults, it gets less endearing. I was like, that is so true. Because when you are with kids, you like your heart is kind of big enough to love all of the kids, and all of their messiness, because you know
Yeah.
that they're kids, and then you start to have less patience when you're like, okay, you should have figured this out by now. Like you're 25. And I thought that was really real.
Yeah.
I'll say for the school keeper, I thought that was really interesting. There's a lot of like social undertones. I thought that was really interesting, which is like the school keeper, I think his name was Tom. He probably
Hmm.
had, like, she kind of implies that he probably had a lot of the raw talent that other people might have had. It's just that he didn't have the resources or the privilege to get a good education. So, but I also think like he kind of reminds me of like the nurse of a hospital, which is like that
Oh
nurse that's
yeah.
been there for
Yeah.
30 years is the one who knows everything, and you don't mess with that nurse because they're the actual leader of the hospital. Like that's kind of like how I felt about Tom, is like he's the one who knows things. And in fact, Laura, the first person she goes to like get rid of the spell is Tom. To go
Hmm.
save the day. So I thought that was a really nice ode to that kind of person that we see all the time in our everyday life in so many different institutions.
Hmm. He reminded me of Hagrid. Like that was like
Yes, he's Hagrid.
the vibe. Yeah, like cause he had like a key. Yeah, and I think he was about to retire. I liked him. I thought it felt like he was like the grandfather of the school.
Yeah,
And yeah, I liked him. Okay, can we talk about some of the themes? Because I am so
let's
curious
do
your
it.
thoughts on this. Because yeah, the one that stood out to me the most was thinking about Walden, because she was saying that she came back to the school and stuff from sort of a subconscious, maybe conscious guilt of what happened when she was in high school, and then she had like that line where it was like, did the Phoenix actually possess her and make her pursue all of this and like come here for this? I just thought there was like something there with a theme of like choosing your life versus doing what's expected of you. And and then we see that like even in her like workaholism, like I think she just like really, to me, she was like checking off the boxes of like, this is like the career path that I can do. I don't want to do the government one. So this is my option. And then just like she had the passion, but it was also like, I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit of a tension there, you know? Like
Yeah.
she chose it and then she didn't stop to reflect on, am I living the life that I want now? Or am I just like moving up and like pursue, you know what I mean? Like that kind of
Yeah.
career tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she is someone who struggles with control. And it's like I think it's a theme that a lot of us as adults might experience. Like I said, I'm one of them, is that she
Mm-hmm.
runs a very tight ship on her sense of self and her duties and her work and stuff. But she never took it like being a part of being human is like part of the journey of being human is knowing that there's a lot of things you don't have control over. But going back to what you said, like about her not even knowing if that's what she wanted to do, I thought that's why it was a really nice ending where her and Laura are talking, and she's like, and Laura's like, I want kids, and she's like, okay, I like teenagers, and that's how you get to them is by having a kid.
Yeah.
Like it's like finally, like it was like her control had to be completely obliterated. She lost her dominant magic arm,
Yeah.
and for her to be like, wait, what do I want? And I'm pretty sure if she had never lost control, she would have just kept on doing what she was doing until she was the mistress of the school, and like never really maybe on her deathbed looking back, be like, oh, I should have done this. So, I thought
Hmm.
that was a real like interesting. Like it's kind of like sometimes it hurts to lose control, but sometimes it's actually a blessing to lose control.
Hmm. I think that's definitely true. Yeah, because it seemed like she had to be forced to take a step back and be like, wait, what do I actually want? Because she was just doing, even like, well, like I said in the beginning, I feel like the book was so in the weeds in like academic life. And now like talking about this, it's like, yeah, I think it was supposed to be because she like didn't let herself even take a step back to remember that she's human. Like it was just about like her schedule and like she was in back-to-back meetings and then she'd teach and then she'd have to solve these problems and all of that. And then by the end, like she like kind of realize like, oh, I was just like, a slave to my calendar,
Yeah.
if you think about it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, like consciously choosing, which I thought was, yeah, I think it's definitely something that we all should reflect on. I am
Yeah.
very guilty of that.
And I
So,
mean, and Walden even says it herself. She said something like, I made a stupid mistake that led to the death of my boyfriend, and instead of seeking therapy, I went and got my PhD in the thing that got him killed. As
yeah. Yeah, like ultimate control, like this will never happen again.
And then
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah.
It happened worse than like not worse because no one died, but like in such a violation of her personhood. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, I think another theme that was here is a battle between two perspectives. I would call it Laura's perspective and Walden's perspective. Laura's perspective is don't dance with the devil or you're bound to get burned. And Walden's perspective is you can dance with the devil if you know the steps.
Or if you have the
And
right contract, because she was all about
oh,
contracts. Yeah.
yeah, like if you can understand, you can control this thing. And I think it's obvious that Laura's perspective is the triumphant perspective at the end of this book, which is like don't build the atomic bomb just because you can. Don't make the dinosaurs just because you can. And don't some or make AI that's going to, be our dominators just because we can, and like don't summon demons just because you can. Like it's a simple life rule.
Yeah, what if hopefully this book isn't like like a premonition of like the future where we're like we figure out how to summon demons and then that's what like our government starts doing. Oh gosh.
We would
Uh
100%, like, let me tell you, if we could do that, we would have done it. I promise you.
so like should we tell
We
no one about this book so that way they don't start trying?
Yes. Like if you think about it, like we discovered the smallest like building block of the universe and then we're like, let's turn it into a bomb. Okay, it's like that is just as fanciful as this. Like they are both on the
Yeah,
same
that's
level
true.
of insanity. So like thank God I don't if demons exist, I don't think they're just like mindless monsters. So hopefully we don't have to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be a little more careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, I think that's definitely true. I think it's interesting also adding in Mark's perspective to that kind of analogy because his would be like almost like, well, yeah, like if the devil's gonna pay me and we have fun, then yeah, like what would you say for him?
Yeah, that's a great point. I would say like his perspective is if other like for Walden, it's you can dance with the devil if you know the steps and you're doing it for the right reasons, and the only right reason is the pursuit of knowledge. Whereas Mark is like you could dance with the devil if you know the steps for the right reasons, and the right reasons is everyone else is dancing with the devil, and so we need to learn how to
Oh,
dance with the devil so
yeah.
that we could dance with the devil better than they can dance with the devil.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
like
what I'm
well,
thinking.
we have to do it or because they're doing it, so we have to do the research and have the expertise so that way we maintain power. Like it's like the
Yeah.
pursuit of power still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nuclear and the nuclear arms race. Like, oh,
Yeah.
they have nuclear weapons, so we have to have nuclear weapons. But now they are getting more because we have more, so now we need to have more. And then that's how we have like this whole stockpiling situation.
Yeah, I didn't think about that when I was reading this book, but that's a really good comparison. Because yeah, it's power, but it's evil power in this book. Yeah, I thought that was a really just an interesting way to think about. Like you said, like if this was just our world, but you could have magic in this way, and then we just integrate magic into all of these areas. Like I would hope that it would be like public transit, like reducing like our environmental impact. But you're right. If there was like pure power, like it would go to the military and essentially just that, and like
Yeah.
maybe some academics if it could benefit the
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some hospitals, but only if it went like if they discovered in the military that it has some health pod like benefits, then it goes to the hospitals. Just like us, yeah, like just like us. That's how a lot of things, unfortunately. Let's not think about it too hard, Debbie.
Yeah, you're like, this is a fun book. It's not too dark. And then we're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, yeah, let's switch. Let's go a little more positive. Let's talk about our favorites from the book. So what was your favorite scene?
I really like the scene where Nikki and friends save the day. Um, because at first I was a little confused as to what happening. It took me, did it take you a second to realize that the Phoenix
It
took
did.
over?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's
Yeah,
like,
and I'm
yeah.
surprised that I mean it would make sense that they realized it because they just went through all of that with Old Faithful and were probably very like anxious about that, you
Yeah.
know.
And I wonder why like the kids like why they like it seems like there was a spell on all of the adults and I wonder why the kids didn't get the same spell. Like, you know what I mean? Because like all
It's
the adults
interesting.
didn't notice anything.
Did they have I didn't interpret it as a spell. That's interesting because yeah, you said that a minute ago. I was like, wait, was it a spell? I just read it as like kind of like almost like just being old and disillusioned. Like they're like, "Oh no, everything's fine," just because they like were so wrapped up in their own world. That's how I interpreted it. But yeah.
No, I think it might have been a spell because they forgot that Mark ever existed. And once Laura came
Oh
to the
yeah.
premise and she went to Tom the schoolmaster, the spell lifted. And remember, and then he's
Mm.
like, "Oh my God!" Like he's like, "Oh my God, Walden's possessed." So I do think that's why they were like, "Oh, we
I
went to
wonder if
every
it's
single."
because the Phoenix didn't, it was like kind of ambivalent to kids, like didn't really see them as valuable and like
Oh
couldn't,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's
That's
probably
probably
why.
okay. Yeah. And so I
Yeah.
thought that was a really good scene where they're like, "Oh, should we, like, are we gonna deal with this ourselves? No, we're gonna go to an adult." But like, oh, all the adults here aren't like helping. We know one adult who could help, and like they escaped, and I thought that was really nice. What? How about you?
Yeah, my favorite was, I guess it was like a couple scenes, but it was a few pages in the book where um like the tension between Walden as the Phoenix is taking over, and it was like very rapid, like quick paragraphs or sentences. Like I just really like that because I in the beginning when I saw that she had the Phoenix, I was like, I feel like this is not good. And then we see that like start happening, and it was like very, what's going on? You know, like I'm like a little confused, like, oh my gosh. And then you like realize, and so I just like that like collection of like moments where that started happening.
Yeah, like it's very slow where they're just having conversations and I'm almost like, "Oh, she's gonna be her friend." Like they're just gonna be friends together
Yeah.
with one living in the other person's tattoo. And then like I think the clue looking back, the clue should have been like the moment the unraveling started to happen was when she's like when Walden, quote unquote, says, "We're gonna find Mark and eat him." Because
Yeah.
that's not something she would have said. So that I think was the moment that like the Phoenix like it just all unraveled.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite part was like that moment and then like the parts immediately after that where
Yeah.
she's like going and you're like and then she finds Mark and there's he's with the younger teacher and because I was like is he actually having an affair or is the Phoenix interpreting it that way? Like there was like a little bit of like
Uh,
confusion, which he was, but like um but because I didn't trust her perspective in that moment, I was like I don't and I guess because I liked him and I like was like there's no way he's actually the bad guy because it like he said all that stuff like it would be so obvious. So I was like really trying to like be like well what's real and what's not real. So yeah, I liked
yeah.
that
Uh,
part.
confession,
Yeah.
I didn't realize she was demon possessed until the next chapter.
Oh really?
Yeah, like when I say it took me a minute, I was like, why hasn't she punched him yet? Like, because it's like it took me like it was when the Phoenix starts giving an exposition about how great it is to finally be human. That's when I finally,
You're like wait a second.
yeah. So that's a little embarrassing, but yeah, it took me a bit longer.
So you believe that she had control. I
I
was
believe she
I
had
think
control.
yeah, I was waiting for her control to break because because there was like a line, I think it was Laura said something about it, and I was like, I think that she doesn't have as much control over this demon as she thinks she does. So I was like waiting for that, and then when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it was good. I think the way that that was presented was because it was like confusing and like disorienting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was excellent. It was excellent. That was a top scene for sure.
yeah. Okay, your favorite character.
That's a good one. I would say I think it's a tie between Walden and the Phoenix and Nikki. I like them all. Laura is nice and all, but she's just not my kind of person. Like she's just a little too by the book. Like she's a little too by the book. Great for, other people. I liked Laura, like she's someone I'd want in my corner, that's for sure, because she's so morally upright. But I wouldn't say
Hmm.
she's my favorite. Um Mark also, he's a little too charming. I always say never trust the most charming person in the room. And once again, I've been proven correct by by my hypothesis. Like so, but like Walden, she was just the right amount of a little bit, a little bit, like a very good human, like a person who tries their hardest to do good, but also messes up in a really bad ways. But like she like tries to do good even after she messes up, and I like that. And then same with
Hmm.
Nikki. And then the Phoenix I just thought was an interesting character, funny and weird and different, and I would have liked to see more of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the Phoenix was a really interesting character. I think Mark was my favorite character because I thought he was funny. And like I said earlier, I really liked that he was helping Walden to just be human and have fun. Um, and I was really sad when when I was like, oh, he is like the, the classic jerk. It almost felt like a little too much like an archetype where I was like, I feel like this book is like doing so many other things. I was like expecting it to like kind of subvert your expectations there and be like, well, he's charming, but actually he's actually a good guy, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then it didn't. And I so I was yeah, but I'm still like, well, maybe, but no, yeah. But I thought he
And
was
I
fun
wouldn't
to
say
read.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say he's necessarily a villain. He did a very bad thing similar to Walden, which is that he put kids' lives at risk. But he was
Hmm.
doing it like, I don't want to say under orders of the military, because just because you do something because the military tells you doesn't mean you should. But like he was doing it because in his mind, like it was for the right reason, which is like defense, and like
Yeah.
like national defense and whatever. So I actually really appreciated that Walden felt guilty for like what happened to him, because I was like he's still a person and he wasn't like he's not actually a villain, so like it's sad what happened to him, and he's Will's uncle too, which also makes me sad, because Will is a good boy, good young
Yeah.
man, and like that's sad that his uncle suffered whatever fate he might have suffered. So like so I don't think he was a bad, like a villainous character. And you meet those people all the
Yeah.
time, and they're not the worst people. Like they're not bad. Like they're not, like oh God, like evil. Get him away from me.
I thought his dialogue was fun too. Like I thought he was very funny. It was fun to read him. So that's part of why he was my favorite character.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then for my favorite line, I don't have a specific sentence or anything that I saved, but I really like the when she's having the conversation with Nikki, and there's a point where she's talking about um, everyone makes mistakes, and it's what you do after you make those mistakes that matters. And I just thought that was a really good section, and also it really showed how good of a teacher she is and how much she cares about the students. And I really liked that part. That was probably my favorite
yeah.
part. Yeah.
Same. Like I really feel like all of the musings of being a teacher and what it means were my favorite lines. Like I said, I kind of this book kind of reads like a love letter to the field of teaching. And like I think
Mhm.
maybe I like really liked it because my husband was a teacher for a while. And so I
Oh,
know like I just yeah, like first we don't give enough love to teachers. And teaching is one of the most important fields, in my opinion, that we could like in society, like that and like healthcare are like two of the like child rearing and healthcare of two of the most important things in society. And so I like that teachers get their like dark academia book where they're actually the main character instead of one of the students. And so
yeah.
I thought that was nice.
Yeah. And the hero and I think it was so interesting diving into that from, like you said, a magical school, um, but getting the dark academia and it was high stakes, but it wasn't like the world is ending kind of stakes. Like there were
Yeah.
stakes. So it wasn't like a something where I was reading, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like so anxious, you know.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny and then yeah, I think it was good. Yeah.
Enjoyable to read if you don't think too deeply about the parallels of today's society.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. Okay, do you have any predictions for the future of this book or if there's more books?
If there were to be more books, first I would not mind reading. Like I would probably read the other series just because I found, like I said, they were entertaining. And like
Hmm.
I liked finding the dark academia, like but lighthearted dark academia. And so
Hmm.
I would like to see like what happened if I'm going to think about it in the context of this world, what happened to Sapphire Walden was groundbreaking. And for sure, people are
Oh,
going
okay.
to be researching the crap out of that. Like the
Hmm.
Phoenix's mental state. People are going to be visiting that school to write theses about like, for their dissertations and stuff like. And so I think that that'll be a major theme of the next books. Maybe Nikki might even be the one who's like doing her thesis on the Phoenix or something like that.
Hmm.
That's my prediction. What do you think, Demi?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was thinking I really liked Nikki as a character, so I think it'd be cool if there was a sequel of it's her at Oxford and what that looks like because that was very intriguing. But then also thinking about Walden because it kind of implied that she might teach in the public school system, I think, which would also be yeah, that would be fun to see like how it's different from like the boarding school vibe. Um, so yeah, I don't know for the world itself, but they're definitely gonna have to placate the Phoenix so it doesn't start killing students and teachers and stuff. Um, it's cool. Yeah, it's fun to just like think about the world and like in my mind, I don't know if it said this or I'm just making this up, but in my mind the Phoenix was like living kind of like in the ground almost and like thinking about what exists like underneath like a school or like the kind of energy and stuff. So yeah, I would want to see how that expands.
Yeah,
And yeah.
same. I imagined it the same way too, which is funny, like under the ground.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. All right. Debbie, do you have any final thoughts on this book?
Yeah, I think that after this discussion, yeah, this definitely reads as a love letter to teaching and education and students, but also the teachers, which, as you said earlier, we don't get to see that a lot. And I wish that we did. Like maybe this will spark more books uh, that are from the perspective of a teacher or a professor, since I thought this was at college. Um, and also just, yeah, it made me want to just reflect on my schedule and what I'm controlling that maybe I am not actually in control of, but I think I am. Just kind of do a little bit of self-reflection there so I'm not possessed by that I don't want to be possessed by.
Yeah.
So,
Same
yeah.
here. Same here. That was a cautionary tale. Like I already know not to dance with the devil. Like that you don't need to like preach to me, but I definitely need a lesson in like letting go of accepting that yeah, I'm an adult, but that doesn't mean I have all the control in the world. And so that's a good lesson
Hmm.
for me too.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that anyone who's I mean, honestly, just living in the world right now probably identifies with that because we're all doing too many things at once.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought that was good. And I mean, I just have to like hold this up again because I love the cover of this one. I think it's so pretty. I don't know if it looked the same on the audiobook. Um,
It had the same image, but it's not as sparkly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really pretty. I like it. Um, well, thank you for joining me for this discussion. For everyone listening, next month we are doing a an even cozier book. It's I believe it's called Agnes Aubert's Magical Cat Shelter or something like that. So it's I'm pretty sure it's just pure cozy fantasy. So definitely pick up that book so you can listen along next time when the podcast comes out. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.